And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
It's Sunday, the 6th of October, 2024. This is Who's Views. It's your big show. Yes, indeed, it's your Sunday headlines with us here. How are you? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages, quite frankly. Nice to see you. Thank you all so much very quickly for all the comments that are coming in about the show we've just finished, which was our Blake 7 visitations with Bedweir. I'm starting to get messages already about that one. So thank you so much for tuning in for that. Yes, very excited about it. But this is your headlines now. So have you heard? Yes, the BBC TV license is back in the news. It seems to be an awful lot these days. So, what's going on there? We're going to be talking about that in this show. RTD has been talking at BAFTA. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And the Radio Times. Well, it just couldn't help itself, could it? You'll see what I mean very shortly when we get to that in the show. This is the big show. We've got an awful lot to talk about. It's not just my view. It's not just your views, but it's their views as well. Let's bring on Third Doctor Ian and Paul. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello there.
Hello. Hello.
Here we are again then, guys. More gossip and rumours and news to talk about. Isn't it fantastic?
Lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you to everybody that's in the chat with us tonight. It's great to see you all. Going to say to you right now again, please make sure you still subscribe to the channel. I'm still getting messages, guys, from people saying they've been unsubscribed. And I don't know what is going on. And I wish YT would knock it off because it's getting quite frustrating. We shouldn't have to say it on every single show, but if you have subscribed to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and keep checking to see if you're subscribed. It's ridiculous. What is happening with that? As usual, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week via comments or via emails. You can get in touch with me at the usual address here on Who's Views, which is that one down there. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. Always delight to get your emails. But I want to say a huge thank you this week to Blue Worm himself. Thank you so much. He's given us a piece of art, gentlemen, for the Carry On review that we're doing this Wednesday.
Oh, lovely.
Fabulous. So thank you for that, Blue Worm. I want to say thank you to Derek Hart 3308, to Crimpling Doubloon, to Aaron Sutherland, triple jazz musician, Eddie Day Riley, Lex Peter Werbra, I Love 2B, Time Tracks 353, John Henson, Dog Olve, MPIP3NJ, Dirty Hamble, that's where she got to.
Her and Jemima, say no more.
And to Joe Marshall, who got in touch saying she doesn't agree with anything we say at all, and how she loves the new version of Doctor Who, and that we're all this and that and this and that. But I just want to say, Joe, listen, that's absolutely fine. You can say anything you want to us. We're adults. We can deal with it. We've been through worse, I can assure you. But thank you for
the viewer that they've got then.
Yeah. Look, we wanted to like it. We've said that many times already.
Yeah.
We really did. We wanted to like all that nonsense, but it was utter nonsense. But thanks for getting in touch and telling us. It was interesting to get your email. And I also want to say thank you to Glenn Martin James and to James Gibson. Huge thank you to both of you, both of whom told us where the new Doctor Who series should be. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine somebody's house and you walked into their bathroom and that's there? I'd leave, wouldn't you?
Well, it might help with your evacuation, perhaps. I don't know.
It's certainly where it was written, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or fished out, shall we say, pre-flush.
So thank you for sending that to us. Really appreciate it. Guys, we've got a lot of people joining us in the chat already. Thank you to Garbage and to Kirsty who are also joining us in the chat, making sure everybody is fantastic. We've got Paul, we've got Marjorie. Hello, Marjorie, saying lots of little emojis there. The chat is moving very quickly. Paul Routman saying evacuate. Oh, dear. There's a lot Pete's in the chat there. We've got Michael in the chat. We've got Legion of James in the chat as well. Peter Venkman. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's gal is in there too. Michael Q is saying to us, here is the news. Absolutely. Adrian James is in there with us. Everybody's with us back. Neville, who was the first in the chat today. So I'm going to give you a shout out to that one. He was first in the chat onto this one tonight. Adrian James with us, or Matt532, Matt the Silent Wee Music King. Graham is with us. Oh, isn't this fab? It's so lovely to see you. Or Mac Greaves, you're here with us as well. Stephen Braddock is with us. Raymond Williams is here. Oh, Michael Hallett. I could go on and on and on. Julianne, everybody, Pete, Paul. Oh, it's lovely to see you all. And Bill Lowry just joining us, Next Man 577. You're all there. Fabulous. We want to know your opinions as we go through all this nonsense that is going on in the world of Doctor Who. Sweet. We're going to start, by the way, by looking at this fan. Now, this is a chap that many of us are very fond of. Allegedly, wasn't very treated very well with our favourite series, was he? Allegedly, the story will out one day, I am sure. But we all heard a little bit of stuff that was going on at the time. It is, of course, the 12th Doctor himself, the last great Doctor in my personal book, the one and only Mr. Peter Capaldi. And what a superb actor he is. Everything he touches is just quality, isn't it, Paul?
We were robbed, definitely.
Yeah, we were.
Bloody were. Had they given him some decent Doctor Who-y type scripts, he would have been still there being Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, he probably wouldn't have been because a certain person didn't necessarily want him there, but allegedly. But there we go. Absolutely fantastic. I was delighted this week to hear a rumor. Now, usually with rumors, I'll go, I'll do it again. I just will, because it's just a rumor, and I'm old enough and long enough and ugly enough nowadays to go, rumors. Do you know what I mean? As you'll know on this show, because we've spoken about some of the rumors, but this one caught my attention because it's one of my other favorite shows. Because if it's to believe, this was revealed this week as the brand new logo for the new version of Harry Potter, which is coming to HBO in 2026. So it says there, Max Original. As you can see there at the top, it says the magic begins. And this is the TV series logo, allegedly. Okay, it's very similar to the logo we all know and love, which is a very smart move design-wise, I think, because it means that you just don't have to change that much, and it keeps in that universe that Rowling has made, the Wizarding World, it's called.
And the fans are not going to say, "I hate this logo. It's not as good as the last one that we do." Like we do, you know.
You might possibly think that, but I can comment because no, they were getting at this because they're just as bad as Doctor Who fans. A lot of them are very finicky. And of course, an awful lot of them are saying, oh, I'm not going to watch it. Why do we need to have it rebooted? Well, welcome to our world, quite frankly, as Doctor Who fans, because, it's been a long time since the films now, but because it's still in their memory, they don't want a new series. Now, this is a very ambitious series, as you'll know, because I've spoken about it on the channel before. This is a 10 series plan of anywhere between 8 and 12. It's I can't remember the exact amount. 1 hour episodes for each book. There are 7 books in the worldwide best-selling Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. And she's excited because in this deal, they can put back an awful lot of what they cut out of the books back into the series. That's why I'm excited. I want to see those little bits that were not
Which
in the
makes
film.
it really new, doesn't it? Because all those bits are missing. It's almost like the way it should have been originally, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll be able to see, like in the films, John Cleese famously was Peeves, one of the ghosts, and you saw him for seconds in two, and then they cut the ghosts out completely. So Hogwarts, of course, is filled with ghosts. So we'll be able to get those back into the show. The rumors are already going around about the casting for this, which I can confirm is underway. There has been a call now for the 3 new stars, Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And it's an open casting call for any 11-year-old or 10-year-old or even 9-year-old British kids that are up to go up for this. You can go to your nearest church hall and do what we used to do in the old days. And you can act your little hearts out and see if you get a job that will absolutely change your life. This is.
I just get visions of that character David Williams played in Little Britain, the pushy mum. Always think about that when I think about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's just like they did it all those years ago for the films where they did the same process. So they are now casting out there. But of course, when it comes to the older roles, that's done through the more traditional route of approaching agents approaching the producers, casting processes, etc., etc. And one rumor that got to me this week also is very ironic, because look at where it came from. This is from sportskeeda.com, who were reporting that from Jamie Campbell Bower to Peter Capaldi, post on alleged Harry Potter new series cast list goes viral online. Check this out. A recent Facebook post on the fan page RuPaul's Drag Race Family. Now that makes me laugh, because those people can't stand J.K. Rowling. So why are they reporting on this? Because the majority of them are just so up themselves when it comes to their ideology, and jumped on a very misinformed, miseducated bandwagon and deliberately misinterpreted what J.K. Rowling said a few years ago. It just makes me laugh. But here we go. A recent Facebook post on the fan page RuPaul's Drag Race Family listed HBO's up-and-coming Harry Potter series cast on September the 29th. The post included a photo of the supposed teaser, and it was further claimed that HBO Max released a new franchise logo. According to the page, the child actors to play Harry, Hermione, and Ron have been reportedly selected as Toby Wolfe, Bronte Carmichael, and Joshua Pickering, adding, and I want to point out at that point, that's just a rumor. That is not confirmed, because as far as I'm hearing, the casting process is still going on for them anyway. It also added that Leslie Manville has already signed on to play Professor Minerva McGonagall, the role made famous, of course, by the late Dame Maggie Smith, alongside Peter Capaldi as Albus Dumbledore, Christian Nairn as Rebus Hagrid, Angus Imrie as Professor Quirrell, Edward Blumell as Snape, and Lucy David as Aunt Petunia. The Facebook post also claimed that Jamie Campbell Bower, who originally played a young Gellert Grindelwald in the film series and appeared in The Deathly Hallows Part 1, is set to play Lord Voldemort in the up-and-coming HBO series. It also stated that the show is expected to premiere in the fall, i.e. autumn for all of us in Britain, of 2026. Leslie Manville. Now, this was an actress. Now, if this is true, this is great casting, because I never thought, when I was thinking about who could possibly play this role now, I never thought of Leslie Manville. But what
she had a great turn in Adventure in Space and Time as Heather Hartnell, particularly. But she's a really good actor, very good.
She's fantastic,
yeah,
and she would be absolutely brilliant as Professor McGonagall. Following in the footsteps of Dame Maggie Smith as well. And I have to point out to anybody watching, Dame Maggie Smith wouldn't have been at all bothered about her role being miscast. She was an actress. That's what happens. They wouldn't have cared. It's what they had their time. There's been a play since then with numerous casts changing every so many months. So they wouldn't have been that precious, as some of the fans seem to think that she would have been. But I'm very excited that this rumor, I can see him doing it, and so can certain people who put this together.
It's more Gandalf-y, though, isn't it? Than yeah.
Can you imagine him playing this role, though? Who views? I think he would have it down pat.
My wife is a big fan of Harry Potter, as Kirsty will tell you, because they always chat about it. And when I put this name to her, I thought she'd say, no, but she said, oh, that's a good idea. She liked that idea. So I was quite impressed with that,
Yeah.
He's got the gravitas for it, certainly. He really has, yeah.
Yeah, really. Talking to Kirsty, she's saying to us here that Leslie Manville's Queen Margaret had me bawling in the last season of The Crown. She was superb in The Crown as well, wasn't she, Kirsty? She really, really, really was. Michael Q is going, whoa! Yeah, these are all rumors, don't forget, but I thought they were fun. Marjorie is saying to us, yes, Leslie Manville is a great actress. And Pete Harrington, she is brilliant. I remember her from Mike Leigh TV shows. Mm-hmm. What else we got here? What else we got there? Stephen saying that Manville would be great as McGonagall. Absolutely. And Matt, the Silent Music King, saying you cannot replace Maggie Smith. Well, yes, you can, and they are. So get on with it.
It has to be CGI again. No, we don't want to do any of that.
No, we don't want any of that.
Allegedly.
No. And Simon L is saying to us, Hermione I can guarantee, is going to be DEI casted. Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the fans are coming back with this saying, we're going to get a black Hermione. So what? Who cares? As long as the actress can act, who cares about the skin color? I don't understand this, because as J.K. Rowling said, there's nothing in the books that says, well, Hermione's a pale skin. And in
Yeah.
the play, of course, the curse of the curse of the fate was it no the fatal curse of the child, whatever it is. I've seen it twice. I can't remember the title. But Hermione is black to a fact. I don't understand why people would be upset by that. I'd be more interested in making sure that these three kids, unlike their predecessors, can actually act. Ooh, controversial. Bring it on, I say. Komodo is saying to us, Capaldi would make a good Snape. The problem is he's a little bit too old for Snape. Snape. They all, because the characters, of course, Komodo all went to school together, and Harry's parents were at the school at the same time as Snape. They all have to be in that sort of late 30s, early 40s type vibe. But I think he'd be magical, literally magical, as Dumbledore. I really, really do. Hi, Desert 004, again saying that Manville was great in The Crown. So, yeah, I totally agree with that particular one. And Matt532 saying to us, Peter would make a great Dumbledore. He has the presence and wizard-like magic. I totally agree. Really, really. I'm really excited about this, though, everybody. So keep tuned with us here on Whose Views, because we are going to be looking at the Harry Potter series and keeping abreast with it as it comes up throughout next year. Because I want to, basically, and I can't wait. Kirsty and I will be reviewing the episodes when they arrive, which will probably be for, I'm hoping, if they're saying it's going to be next year, I'm hoping it'll be next year. So Kirst, make sure your diary's free if we don't get into the show. Thank you very much, because we are trying. Yes, so thank you. Sad Matt Strikes is saying, I've just tuned in. The biggest Who news is Harry Potter. It's clinically depressing, the state of Doctor Who. We're going to get to Doctor Who in a minute, but I thought it was a nice thing because it's Peter Capaldi, the last great Doctor, who's possibly going to be getting a new gig.
And good luck to him if he does. Hope it goes well. Yeah,
I actually think it's inspired rumor, if that's the case, because I can see him playing it, and I can see him being absolutely wonderful and charming. Another generation of young people as Dumbledore, one of the most powerful wizard in the books. All right, then we'll move on to Doctor Who now as well. And we're often talking, aren't we, on Who's Views about colorizing episodes of old Doctor Who's. And of course, the BBC jumped on the bandwagon for 2023 and gave us a beautiful looking version of the Daleks in color, and then ruined it with everything else that went around it. Nice try, BBC Studios.
Daleks to the sound of Benny Hill.
Yeah, and with very bad radical editing. So nice try, BBC Studios, but nil point here from the Who's Views panel. We didn't like it at all, and none of us bought it, so yabu to you. However, fans have been talking about this and trying to experiment with this, haven't they, for ages, guys, haven't they? And this very week, we found one of these. You may have seen this, but this was brought to our attention this week. And I just want to shout out to Angel Great here on the Tube of Who. Congratulations for putting this out there and giving us all something to talk about, as fandom used to be. Let's face it. That's fandom used to be. And this is very interesting as well, because in case you haven't seen this, this is, as Angel Great says, an attempt to recolorize the 1974 story Invasion of the Dinosaurs using an AI process called Colorize. Kolorize. Let's have a look at it, and then we can get our opinions here, because I'm actually fairly impressed by this. Now, if you know London at all, you'll know these locations. It has changed an awful lot, but certain locations like this are more or less the same. You know, so there we have this down by the Thames, looking like it would have done 1974. Now, this is AI colouring this. It's not bad, is it, guys?
It's not bad at all. I have to say, firstly, this is a great first episode. Absolutely love this episode, and I think the dinosaurs in this particular, the pterodactyl's not that bad, I don't think. And at the end, when the little dinosaur appears at the end, not so good, but a great atmosphere for the first episode. I watched this, and I think it's really good. Some really good bits in it. Then I looked back at the other one and flicked through it to see what the difference was a little bit. It's got some good moments in it. I still think it's a mile away from being finished, and it's going to cost a lot to fix it. We need a Mind of Evil Part 1 version is what we really need. But it's a step in the right direction, definitely.
I totally agree. I think this is a step in the right direction. As these, I mean, this looks great. I mean, this is Trafalgar Square. No, it's not. Where is this?
I was going to say there's no lions.
Yeah. I can't remember whereabouts this was. but it's I
London.
quite like this. I mean, this
there's
is
no Daleks doing the tourist thing. I'm a bit confused, So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I quite like this though. I mean, it is a great first step. I think it does need work on it, but it shows again how AI. Well, I don't know whether to be worried about AI or impressed by AI. I couldn't tell you where this is either, actually, because this is not the London I grew up in. This is different. 1974.
There's a lovely shot. I think there's a Wimpy bar at some point along there. We can see in the as the camera pans past. If you remember Wimpy, anyone at all?
Yeah. Now I'm not going to show all the pictures from this, of course, because it wouldn't be fair to Angel Great. You have to go and look Angel Great up and have a look at the episode. This is somewhere that is still there today, albeit a little bit different. So some of the colours are a little bit off, but I just thought this was very interesting. And then we get to this. Yeah.
It's really good when it stabilizes in certain points.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. But there are certain points where the Doctor's got his costumes 2 different colours and stuff like that. I'm being pedantic now, I apologise. But it's actually, when it settles down, it's really, really good.
I think sometimes these systems, they struggle with complex patterns, but then TVs always seem to suffer like that. Do you remember when it was the 5 Doctors and they gave Herndl plain grey trousers instead of the check that Hartnell had because of how it came on American TV screens with a different system? And I think these, that sort of like, is it a tartan he's got there on his cape and everything? That is going to struggle. And the TARDIS, of course, comes out occasionally varying shades of brown. I know that prop was quite battered and not the best and brightest blue, but it was still noticeably blue, whereas it was coming as brown. But early stages, and with AI, it's probably going to leap forward really, really quickly.
Very lucky it's not a 6th Doctor episode they're trying to colorize, because that'd be hellish, wouldn't it?
Yeah. As a lot of people in the chat are saying, it doesn't look bad. It looks good for AI, says Marjorie is saying. Everybody seems to be a little bit. I mean, this is the first sort of go at it as well, and it just shows you how quickly technology is changing, and I mean, what they're going to think of next. I mean, we've got that sort of AI that we know that's going on now with the moving episodes and stuff like this, isn't it? Which are getting there and really, really giving up. Wow.
Some of those have been redone. I believe have been redone a 2nd or 3rd time to enhance what they already had and made it better still. So, like you're saying, it's their first go. So the more time they have a go at it, the more they can polish it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, Timescale's joining us saying all fans can colorize black and white Doctor Who episodes now. The software is called Colorize. This is exactly what this is. This is the Colorize system here. I am not au fait with any of this at all, but when I saw this, I just thought, crying out loud, what's going to be next? John Mason is saying to us, AI will very soon give us realistic missing 60s Who. I'm at that element now where I'm thinking, yes, it absolutely is, and it's going to be sooner rather than later with everything that's going on, and fans leading the way yet again. Yeah. What's this one from Legion of James? No, I really don't like the colorizing of the original black and white episodes. If they were shot in black and white, that's how they were meant to be enjoyed. Using to improve existing color episodes is okay. Yeah, I've been with you on that one, Legion of James, for many, many years now. But I'm thinking if there's an alternative now, not like the Daleks in color that the BBC produced, don't want anything like that. But if they can bring things out on a Blu-ray, which has the black and white, the original version, and then an alternative version, so people have got the 2 versions, I'm all for it. It will never replace the original version.
The originals must remain untouched.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Apparently, they did that on the colorization of the Dalek one that they edited recently. They've got all 7 black and white episodes on the same Blu-ray, apparently. So they have done that.
Sorry, Paul. You used the word edited. I think you may have meant butchered there.
Butchered. Yeah, I was being kind. Yeah.
Yes, you were being kind, and Ian's right.
Shockeye would have made a better version of it if he had a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again to people like these people that are messing around with our original series now. Leave it be. What we want as fans want, the more mature fans who are interested in this, who will buy this, is we don't want your version for the Andy Pandy generation. Not that they will know who that is. We don't want their woke nonsense. We don't want their fast nonsense. Just take the episodes and color it like the fans do, and release it, and we'll buy it. Don't add. Don't edit, don't take away, just give us the stories we know with the color tint. You've got some fantastic people working for you. There's more technology coming up. There's more fans out there that can do it. That's all we want. Don't mess around with it. Thank you very much. Dalek Eye is saying to us here, oh, I've watched this a few days ago. I thought it was quite good. It's not perfect, but good. Exactly. It's not perfect. It's good. And Paul Ratton's back with us saying it'll wipe us out before it gets around to finishing these videos. Oh, don't say that. That's a science fiction episode, isn't it? On itself, really.
I think the original version that's on the Invasion of Dinosaurs DVD is quite good. I reckon when the Blu-ray comes out of the box set of season 11, we'll get a better one. Hopefully, it'll be as good as Mind of Evil Part 1. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. You never know. It needs to. Woodhouse 122. Nice to see you with Rory there. It's in parts the TARDIS appears brown in the YouTube colorization. That's why it needs to keep going, doesn't it? It needs to keep building up, and then we get that blue we know and love. I was wondering when I was looking at this, does the AI think it's a red telephone box because it doesn't know what a police box is?
I think a lot of the time with AI, it's very much like with ChatGPT, which obviously is AI as well, but you have to give it very strict parameters. You can't just say, for example, write me some text and hashtags for a post on a Dalek. You have to say, act as a social media influencer and text copywriter and produce me some text on this and give it reference material and things like that. Give it pointers to text that is factually accurate. And then it knows what it's got to act as, and then it knows what to go away and do. If you just give it sort of like vague instructions, then it will come back with vague results. But it's getting there. It's getting there.
It's all scary stuff to my my brain. It really is scary stuff. Who'd have thought of that this 5 years ago? Never mind 20. Raymond Williams saying to us, maybe it's mine, but I'm not impressed. It needs to be Mind of Evil good. I think it could get there. I really
think it could get there.
Yeah. And eventually it could even be quite cheap to do. I'm sure people like the BBC Studios and all these people who've got black and white material are looking at all this stuff, waiting to see when it's affordable to do and when they can make a profit on it. And quite right too. Matt532 is also saying, considering its basic AI system, it's looking good.
Knowing the BBC allegedly are going to say they'll do one version and then we'll have to buy it 3 more times till they get it right. That's what
we just know. They'll do it as soon as they can. They'll do it, but they have to do it right, because if it's going to be like the Daleks in color, we're not going to buy it.
No,
we're not going to buy it, because apparently that was a massive flop as well, and it deserved to be. All alleged. That's what I'm hearing. And Paul Rose is saying to us, hi JT, Paul and Ian, I still have a Wimpy badge and sold a Wimpy Spider-Man card to the States for £30 recently. Wow.
Superb.
Well done, you, Paul. That's what I like to hear. If Peter Harrington is saying, if it works, Invasion of the Dinosaurs will go up a level. I love it anyway, but it will get new fans. I tell you, one of the things that will give it new fans, Pete, of course, is the CGI dinosaurs that we all crave. We want some proper dinosaurs in that now, because there is no way. I'm gonna actually admit this. There's no way you can give those dinosaurs. Well, you couldn't give them to our generation. Never mind the new ones who have grown up with Jurassic Park. It has to be done properly there to sell it to them, so that they can go back and enjoy the dinosaur visual effects, but also get into the story, because it's a cracking story. And some of these kids that are wandering around today need to watch it. I really do think they need to know that. Timescales has also changed. The use of colorize is expensive right now. I've done 15 minutes of the faceless ones, and it's cost $187.
Wow.
Crikey.
That's about 30 quid in pounds, isn't it?
It could well be.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Oh, but listen, thank you for all your comments on that particular one, everybody. I just thought that, again, when we saw that this week, we had to bring it onto the show and just keep up with all those things that are going on, because this is fans leading the way again. As I say, I'm sure the industry is watching to see what's going on, but it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. We will be presented with newer versions of this stuff as it goes on. It's
as you were saying, if it's used for good, it's a good thing to have. It's when it's abusing things, then that's the problem, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Heretic OSJC, nice to see you. You may think this, but we couldn't possibly comment. The dinosaurs will be CGI replaced with DEI hires.
If RTD writes the spec, I do not doubt it.
Yeah.
If he's got anything to do with it.
The dinosaurs will be white gammon. Surely that's how it works.
Yep. And all for the sake of actually taking BBC TV license fee payers back to paying more for a show that they've already paid for once upon a time. Anyway, talking of the BBC license fee, It seems that
Oh,
you know. Thank you very much.
Seamless.
I'm here all week. It seems that the BBC TV license fee is in the news now, guys. Every week there is something always going on about this. Now, recently it was confirmed that the new government of the United Kingdom, the Labour government, have declared their support for the BBC and that they will not be looking into scrapping the BBC license fee at any time soon. So they say. We'll see how long that goes. I still think it will be gone within the next 20 years. I really, really do, because another government's going to come along and say, no, that's going to go. It's going to happen at some point, isn't it? You know, I'm absolutely sure. We've even had Russell T Davies, as we featured on this show a few months ago, preparing for the license fee to end at some point. And we talked about that on one of our previous headline shows. Well, this week, the license fee was again in the news with this headline from the express.co.uk. BBC TV license fee penalty set for major change under Labour. A third of all female convictions are for not paying their TV license, according to human rights lawyer Cherie Blair. Now, if that name rings a bell, then well, it's because she is the wife of former Prime Minister Tony Blair, who some of us will never forgive. That's another subject completely. But anyway, yes, so this is a report that's come out. Now, I'm going to say again, for those of you outside the UK, this is a very mystifying way of working here when it comes to the BBC TV license. We've said it before. If you do not have a BBC TV license fee, you cannot watch live broadcast television on any of our stations, even the ones that have absolutely nothing to do with the BBC. You cannot watch live television. You can go to prison for not having a license fee. That's the big threat. That's been the threat for years and years and years and years. And yes, people in this day and age are being sent to prison for not having a BBC license fee and watching television. That law, in my opinion, needs to change, and change very, very quickly. And it looks like this could be the start of some sort of change. This article goes on to say, Labour is moving forward with plans to decriminalise non-payment of the BBC TV licence fee, as experts say prosecutions disproportionately impact women. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy and Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood are said to be in agreement that failing to pay the licence fee should no longer be treated as a criminal offence. This proposed reform will play a key role in the up-and-coming discussions between the government and the BBC on the renewal of the corporation's Royal Charter. Negotiations are expected to start in January. A senior government source said the administrative burden of policing non-payment of the licence fee should not be falling on the taxpayer. It should be carved out. It's not worth the hassle it creates. Currently, nearly 1,000 individuals are prosecuted every week for not paying the £169.50 annual fee, making it one of the most common offences in the UK, second only to motoring violations. The disproportionate number of women facing prosecution has sparked concern, with women accounting for around 70% of those fined. Lucy Fraser, the former Conservative Culture Secretary, said last year that prosecuting people for not paying the TV licence fee is, quote, morally indefensible in modern times. Human rights lawyer Cherie Blair said, when you think that a third of all female convictions are for not paying their TV licence, it's absurd. The cost of these women's places in prison, the impact on their children, the fact that they'll probably lose their accommodation. I mean, what is the sense in that? There is absolutely no sense in it whatsoever. I think really the solution is not to send so many women to prison, and it's honestly as simple as that. In response to these concerns, a senior figure at the BBC has attempted to ease tensions, claiming the corporation has implemented an amnesty for vulnerable women to reduce prosecutions. However, the BBC has denied this, saying no such amnesty exists. One insider did admit that the BBC has made a conscious effort to cut down on prosecutions, but cautioned that persistent non-payers will still face action. We are busy helping people to avoid prosecution, but prosecutions will still happen. Without an enforcement mechanism, there is no system, the source said. Now, again, I'm going to say this shows the hypocrisy of all these sorts of people, because suddenly they know what a woman is.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it should be optional where you pay it or not, really. That's the thing. It should be. You shouldn't be forced to pay a licence for watching the BBC effectively. That's what it is, isn't it?
We've reported so many times, though, guys, on headlines that the BBC, and we always talk about Doctor Who with this, but we have mentioned it. The viewing figures for the BBC are down dramatically because they're not producing the entertainment that the British public craves and wants. And I think more and more people are waking up every single day and looking at the BBC going, why am I paying this? Because we have had a hell of a lot, Ian, of license fee payers stopping their license over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know obviously you yourself, JT, do this and quite legally. You follow the process, and
Yeah.
I think it's a convoluted process for that very reason. The more complicated they make it, the less likely people are to do it, or that's the thinking. But I have quite a few thoughts about this. I do hate the license fee. I think the BBC should be subscription model. I think it needs an attack from various quarters. I don't believe for a second they should change the law just to benefit women. Yeah, ideally, yeah, they're now recognizing what a woman is. If they did it to particularly benefit women, then that's discriminatory. If they then prosecute you as a male, can you just say you identify as a woman and they will have to let you off as well? Or is it across the board? Cherie Blair, hate the woman, and she's so left wing. She's coming around the other way. You know, she's gone so far to the left. But
As most of them have, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think this whole thing is ridiculous. But I think when I say about pressure coming from other areas as well, I think Sky TV, all the other channels, all that need to pay the government for a broadcast license, they should be lobbying Parliament as well to get rid of the license fee or the prosecutions for it, because ultimately here's the BBC saying if you don't pay us you can't watch them, and that's impacting on them. Where else would that be allowed? It just wouldn't happen anywhere else, would it? You wouldn't see Tesco's imposing a license to say you can't go to a supermarket, Sainsbury's or whatever, if you don't pay Tesco's a fee first. It just wouldn't happen. In any other context, it's bonkers. But here we are. You have to pay the BBC or you can't watch Sky. You can't watch a Sky football match unless you pay the BBC, who don't broadcast it, who aren't going to broadcast it, and aren't going to show the highlights. You know, it's insane. And I think it needs to be gone.
Now, there's a question you can maybe answer for me, you guys. I don't know if this, what the answer to this actually is, but how much of the TV license goes to the government as a tax?
I don't know. And that's a very, very good question, because as I was putting this all together, I was also thinking, now these days, we don't even know how much of the TV license fee is going towards the production of programs. Because, you know, since a particular female prime minister got involved, we've had the entertainment industry, especially TV productions, it's all independent now. Now, the BBC still is like that. It has its independent arm, which is BBC Studios. And the last great shows are now independent. Even the one show, which we'll be coming to very shortly, unfortunately, that's independent now, produced by BBC Studios. Doctor Who is now independent, produced by BBC Studios with partners. Blue Peter is about to become independent. So what are we actually paying for? How much of the BBC license fee goes towards the production of its programs, when originally much of it went to keeping the cost of the donut going and producing those programs? Do you know what I'm saying? So where does it go now? Because I'm not convinced, and please correct me in the chat if I am wrong, I'm not convinced that all shows screened on BBC television are paid for by the license fee anymore.
I think it's a bit like compared to the NHS. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved in it, and that's the problem. There's too many people involved in admin dealing with it and not giving money to programming. And I know that, to give an example, like Bad Wolf is an independent production company. They get money from the BBC, but they're funding the production themselves as well. So there's various inputs of budget: BBC, Bad Wolf, Sony, Disney, whatever. So that's a collection of funding. But like you say, where's it all going? I think some of it's just really going to admin and things like that. I think there was a report a few months ago about employing more people to do the covering of how they cast programs and how they get the right
Yep.
minorities in and stuff like that. So there's a lot of admin involved, isn't there? That's part of the problem. So
Well, we did cover that a few weeks ago on Headlines, too. We did talk about how the BBC are investing a further £80 million into their DEI projects within the BBC, which is a huge waste of money. Now, if that's coming from the license fee, why are their customers, i.e. BBC TV license fee payers, not getting a say in where that money goes to? Because years ago, it used to be the fact you could get in touch with the BBC and they possibly may look at you and decide to, yes, we're going to look at your comment or we'll act on your comment. Because you were complaining about the programs. You weren't complaining about necessarily fees of presenters or fees of filmmakers or producers, as we know them. That was none of our business. They got a fee and it was what it was. It wasn't as high as it was today, as many of them will attest to. But you've got the fact that now, with the independent production, we don't even know how much the BBC TV license fee now goes into Doctor Who. As you're saying there, Paul, we just don't. I mean, where is this money going? I think it's just all there for administration, for bureaucracy, and for DEI nonsense.
Yeah.
At this point, I just want to say a big shout out and hello and welcome to Who's Views to Rory and Cheryl and friends. Nice to see you all. They're saying to us the BBC Charter renewal will be safe. Half the BBC management are Labour supporters, so the government will give the BBC longer to change the fee. I just don't think the new government have actually bothered to look, because a lot of what the BBC is pushing out now, of course, will hit the new government's 2025 agendas, won't it, really? And look, it's all coming, it's all on the way.
Well, that's the thing. Every successive government of previous government, they've already set up things down the line. So we have to wait till all that comes in, and then they'll change it again. And it takes forever things to turn round, doesn't it? It's a bit of a nightmare in terms of admin in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. But as I say, I just want to know how much of the license fee is now going in towards the production of shows themselves. So Marjorie's saying to us, I don't think you have to pay the license fee if you don't have to. To go to prison for not paying is ridiculous. You do. It's the law, Marjorie. It is the law. That's what we're just talking about here. When you buy a television, you have to register in the UK for a license. So millions of us, though, are now cancelling the BBC TV license, and we can't watch live broadcast television. You just can't. Because if you do, you break the law and you could be prosecuted for it. You can get a fine or you can go to prison. That's why, people outside the UK don't understand this. This is our system. It's antiquated. It's been in place all our lifetimes, ever since the BBC, ever since BBC Radio, basically, when you had to have a license for the radio. They just transferred it over, as it were. Komodo is also saying to us, the other channels have to use the BBC transmitter system. That's why they class it as TV license.
Is that necessarily the case with Sky? Because Sky are either satellite direct to a dish or over an internet connection now.
No, it's not the same at all, because if you have Netflix now as well, everything's moved on and the BBC hasn't. It's still grasping at this license fee to get its funding. That's the only place it gets money from. That's why BBC Worldwide became BBC Studios. But the money BBC Studios earns, it keeps. Do you understand? So it doesn't necessarily push it back into the. I mean, it was the same with John Nathan Turner. He was always going to BBC Enterprises, as it was back then, because they were making money on Doctor Who, and he would go to them saying, "Can you put some money into the show, please?" And they would tell him, "There's the door." No, bad business. That also happened to Stephen Moffat when Enterprises became Worldwide. He went back to Worldwide occasionally, allegedly, to say, "Listen, why don't you put some money into the show?" That didn't work out, but now they've got their hands on it completely. So it's nothing to do with transmitter systems, Komodo, with respect. It's to do with their monopoly of saying, if you watch live broadcast TV, you have to have this license. Otherwise, we're going to get you. It's as simple as that. I
don't see why they can't do like Sky does, and you can have, if you took advertising for a start, but then you could perhaps subscribe to bits you wanted. Like if the BBC had a unlimited sports coverage like Sky does for football and stuff like that, you could subscribe for that, or first time movies or things like that, rather than everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Legion of James is saying that, Ian, you summed it all up perfectly. And Paul Rose is saying, yes, they're trying to include YouTube in the TV license for live channels, but it's too vague to stick right now. They can get lost. That will never, ever stick. If the BBC tried to get that to court, it will be thrown out. And they will spend more of the license fee money to pay the charges. It's not going to happen. The YouTube isn't even British. So they can't claim that at all. It's just ridiculous. You know, Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's Gala saying to us they are arresting people in the UK for tweets, so they will imprison you forever for not paying the TV license. Mark my words. Not far wrong, is it?
Yeah.
Because they are. You know, you got to watch your social media now. And Problem Being joining us saying, I refuse to pay for propaganda I don't even watch. I sent them a letter telling them what they could do with their TV license and that I wasn't paying for anti-Semitic and anti-human rubbish. We also sent a letter because back at the beginning of the year, we covered a particular thing about complaining about RTD going off on all these tangents and blah, 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 and, you know, calling out for everybody. So we sent an email to the BBC. We went through the official BBC license complaints service, and we were told that they couldn't get involved because Doctor Who and Russell T Davies were nothing to do with the BBC.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with them. So that's how they get around a lot of these complaints. Oh, that Match of the Day, Doctor Who, Top Gear, whatever it's going to be, it's nothing to do with us. We're not responsible. Well, why are we still paying a license? Why are people still paying that money? I think people are waking up more and more and more and more to this. And that's why we're seeing increases every week of cancellations of the BBC license fee. Now, my whole point about this and bringing it back to Doctor Who is this will eventually hit Doctor Who. Because if the BBC do not adapt now, as we've talked about before on the show, guys, where will Doctor Who go? Where's it going to be? It'll be on the iPlayer and that's it.
Well, Doctor Who's dead, we've already discussed, isn't it? So that's
well, yeah. I mean, not we wouldn't really care, would we?
Yeah.
But even the license fee covers the iPlayer.
Yeah.
This is the thing, isn't it? So, you know,
keep your physical media, folks, at all times.
Yes, absolutely, keep your physical media. Yeah.
Except
but it is a monopoly. It's been said in the comments, and it is a monopoly. And what Problem Being said seems quite accurate as well. It does seem very allegedly anti-Semitic. I mean, I noticed on Friday that they dedicated 40 minutes to just basically broadcasting the Iranian Supreme Leader's entire broadcast, where he justified attacks on Israel, and they were putting out that he was moderate and justified, and it's like, good God, you know, if they'd done this in the 70s, justifying what the IRA did, the Director General would have been arrested, and quite rightly so. And yet here we are.
Yeah.
The BBC are almost coming across as if they are a supporter of.
Yes, of all sorts of things that aren't
the T word that I'm not sure we can use. So
no, we can't. We've got to be careful. We've got to be careful here. But yes, I mean, the BBC are out of touch with the British public, and we do know from people that have been involved with the BBC and have spoken out over the last 2 or 3 months that and we've said it before on the show. The BBC look down on the great British public. They look down as well. We're the great unwashed that are there to be preached to. I want to point this out from Timescales, who's asking us, are there black market televisions in the UK? Buy a used one from someone else, maybe. That's not how it works. No. If you have a television, you have to have a license. It's as simple as that. That's the law. It doesn't matter if it's secondhand. You have to have a license.
Think to Timescales. If you watch the first episode of Remembrance of the Daleks, and the doctor asks Ace what she thinks that van is, and she'll say TV detector van.
Yeah.
Now that is, so Ace came from the 1980s, and so all the way through the 1980s and into the 90s, for decades, the BBC sent round these vans with aerials on the roof that were giving people the impression they were detecting whether or not you were watching television in your house, and they would knock on your door. You know, Stasi kind of thing. So, you know, this is the kind of authoritarian action
that we put up with.
Yeah,
they used to have commercials as well, didn't they? They showed on ITV with them going around in the vans and stuff like that. I remember them vaguely, don't you?
They actually scared a whole couple of generations, because those adverts were on all the time. We know what you're watching. It was utter nonsense. It was a lie. And the BBC paid for those adverts, and they went onto the independent networks, and everybody got the license. There were 2 tiers back when I was a kid. There was a black and white license, and there was a television license for the color TVs. Everybody had a black and white one for years because it was cheaper. Then they merged it into one, and you had no choice because black and white was being phased out by the manufacturers. So you had to do it. So the British nation has been lied to, bullied, and coerced for decades. Decades when it comes to this TV. Now, once upon a time, I don't think many of us would have minded paying the BBC our hard-earned cash because it was worth something, and we all watched it.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the start of this decade, this century. But now, throughout this decade, no, it's not. Why bother? It's still nonsense. But this is really interesting conversation as well. And I want to say thank you to Amare for pointing this one out. Chili Con Carne's channel has details on the limits of the TV license. He's a great guy. He's a fantastic guy. And he does report on this stuff, and he reports on it factually and correctly. It's really good. He even tells you what to do, and timescales, you won't believe this, but he even tells you when to do when that knock on the door comes along from the TV inspectors to say, are you watching live television? Have you got a television? Because you have to be ready for that. I'm ready for it because I've got a list of things to tell them as to why I won't support the BBC. They're going to be there for a week. They'll be desperate to get rid of me as I start lecturing them. I can't wait for that knock on the door. I say, right, sit there. This is why, and you can take this back with you. But yes, but that's timescales. I know it's very difficult for people outside the UK to understand, but they have us by the short and curlies. And that's why this needs to change. And that's why at some point it's going to have an effect on the future of Doctor Who. It really, really is. So yes, that's that one there. Garbage is saying to us, every year the BBC demanded more money by inventing new TV or radio channels in this country and others. It is ridiculous, isn't it, really, how they keep trying to keep it going.
We pay this license, and out of that, the BBC produces channels like BBC Persia, where they broadcast to various Islamic countries around the Middle East and things like that. So, I don't know exactly what we're paying for. Is there an Islamic version of Housewife's Choice? They're probably not allowed to listen to it anyway, so maybe not. But
it'd be Husband's Choice, allegedly, I would imagine.
Whole host of ridiculous stuff.
I mean, they can't even run Women's Hour properly on BBC Radio, can they? Because they've had men on Women's Hour now. Women's Hour was always traditionally for women to have that hour's break from the chores when they were all working at home, looking after the kids. They're
very left-wing, aren't they? So their definition of a woman now is all over the place, like Labour.
It totally is. More of that coming in this particular show as well. Problem being, making the point, TV in the 80s and 90s was hit after hit after hit and kept families watching well into the night. Now there is nothing. The public has to pay more for nothing. It's not happening. I'm always going to agree with that. And Tyler Durden smiles, and I agree with what you're saying, but you get a fine for not paying the TV license. If you repeatedly don't pay the fine, the court give you, that's what you get. That's when you get a prison sentence. That's right, Tyler Durden. Yeah, you are right in that one as well. But it's the whole process. You're being fined before that, and then you're on the journey, and then they keep coming back. Go on, Paul. I think it's ridiculous.
I was going to say they're probably not. They're probably changing the law because there's no room in prison for people. That's why. So,
oh gosh. Yeah.
If you talk on Facebook about the TV license, then you probably will go to prison. But I mean, yeah, they do fine, and if you don't pay, prison, absolutely. Yeah. But when they tell you about it, they don't say if you repeatedly don't pay your fines. They just say you'll go to prison. It's that politics of fear, isn't it, all the time?
Yeah. Lee Smith saying to us, when British TV started, there was only BBC One. The BBC have milked the British still since TV started. Yeah, because as I say, there was BBC Radio back in the day, of course, which was hugely popular because there was no other sort of entertainment. So people had the radio, or the wireless, as we used to call it. And then when the BBC television came along, we had BBC One, as Lee's saying, and then it's evolved. And now they're desperate to keep more money coming in so they can try and keep up what they think is good business with all this digital platforming that they're doing.
It wasn't even called BBC One. It was just BBC at that point.
It was
no BBC Two. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
BBC. Yeah. Timescales are shocked. You have to be joking. In the US, someone can't come in your house without a warrant. This is very hard to believe in the UK. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in the UK that I find very hard to believe at the moment. It's shocking. It really is.
North Korea look moderate at the minute.
Yeah.
It's like those sequences in the Idiot's Lantern, the David Tennant episode. They come round to collect the people with no faces. It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Boomer Doug, it's nice to see you. Thank you for the shout out on your show as well. Here in Australia, we have the ABC, but we don't pay a license fee. It's a government-run station. We pay indirectly via our taxes. I still think that the BBC the license fee should be gone. I think they should be focusing on a subscription service, which includes the iPlayer. I've said this before, which is then open to people worldwide because they want to keep that worldwide service that they used to be famous for. And that's it. That's what I would do it. And you could implement it within 10 years very easily. But oh no, they need to do all this. Thank you very much for everybody for your comments on that one. It is amazing. Joe Parker is joining us saying, my mum was arrested in the 80s for not having a license. It was unbelievable. Well, I hope she's okay. I hope your mum was all right. And because that's such a traumatic process.
Yeah.
When the busies come around and they throw everything at you, that's terrible. It really is an awful thing to go through. And you're not quite the same after that because you've been judged. You've been judged. And it's a terrible process in any sort of way when you get cross paths with the busies, isn't it? It's just she had to pay £1,000 fine. That was in the 80s. That was a fortune in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine, guys? What would they do you now? Oh, goodness all.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you say, in the 1980s, that was a lot. A decent month's salary in the 1980s would have been about 350 quid, 400 quid,
Yeah. One of the reasons I love talking to everybody live on Who's Views, especially on this particular show, is people outside the UK, like Timescales, can ask us questions and learn more about our life in Britain today, 2024, where we're all supposed to be enlightened and fabulous and in flying cars. No, it has not happened. And as the Timescales is saying to us here, does the BBC streaming service include the license, iPlayer or whatever it is? The BBC license fee goes towards the iPlayer. Yes, it's part of the BBC. The license fee covers any BBC service, BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three, BBC Four, BBC iPlayer, BBC Radio, the local BBC radio stations, and anything else they want to throw into it, to be quite honest. The only commercial part of BBC is BBC Studios, which I believe now also owns BBC Films. That's the commercial part. Anything that BBC Studios make, and they now own Doctor Who and produce Doctor Who, as we know, any money from them stays with them. That's the BBC private enterprise. It used to be called BBC Enterprises. It became worldwide. It's now Studios. They more or less produce so much stuff for not just the BBC. They sell some of their content to their competitors like ITV, but it's just a mess. The whole thing is a mess, and it's very, very.
They also have things like BBC Verify, led by somebody called Mariana Spring, who interestingly got pulled up for falsifying her CV, which was ironic in itself that they had a BBC Verify was had to be verified, but strangely not by the BBC themselves. But I saw something that they'd done this week about, there was an article about some AI fake that had come out in some town in America, and it had caused a lot of disruption. It was disproved, but there were still ructions as a result of it. And they actually sent her out there to speak to people. Now, you could have done this online and everything else, but so your license fee went to pay for flights for Mariana Spring to go to America and interview people for this one article that appeared on the BBC News website. Didn't even appear on a news program. And it's just like, my God, this is, like you said, that £80 million that we featured a few weeks ago. Yeah, I recall we checked, and that was 400,000 plus TV licenses made up £80 million.
On a DEI program that is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessary. This is the BBC today. So if this is coming up and they're saying, well, women are being punished more, which I don't necessarily believe. I think it's anybody, because they'll go after anybody without the TV license. There are more people in the United Kingdom today than there ever has been before. We're overburdened with people. We're only a little island, and there's people everywhere. Wherever you go, there's people. It's not what it was. It's not the Britain I grew up in. But they're expecting all those people to pay for a television license. They're not going to. They're not going to. So their DEI program, which is insisting on making programs for this element and this element and this element, they're not even paying for the license fee to be quite honest, because everybody's cancelling left, right, and centre, or they never had one in the first place. And as I've said before, that new generation, the minority that are doting on this new Ncuti Gatwa version of Doctor Who with RTD because it's flag waving and wearing pronouns and they love it, that minority, they aren't paying for the blooming license fee either. So that's not sustainable. They're not going to stick with the BBC when Doctor Who is finally axed.
And the BBC, to be fair, will not dare in a million years prosecute certain groups.
Of course not. No.
They exempt them everywhere else. They'll exempt them here. They will not do it.
No, they won't, because they're frightened. We're seeing that all around life at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, they're frightened of it all. Timescale is saying to us, The Idiot's Lantern makes more sense now. I can't remember that show. Yeah. I can't remember.
It's the one with Maureen Lipman. It's not a great episode. It's Mark Gatiss. Set in the 50s. Remember that one? Yeah.
I do, because Maureen used to live down the road from me.
Yeah. She's very good in it, but it's not a great episode.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, she's lovely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I loved Maureen. She was so lovely. You would see her walking the dogs or whatever. Oh, she was lovely. Lovely.
Do you remember Agony? Remember Agony from the 80s?
Yes.
Agony, yes. Sitcom, which I love that.
Yes. Really and then she did that show, what was it, Ladies of Letters or something like that with Anne Reid?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. They never really met either, because it was all about these ladies with their adventures. But lovely lady. Oh, thank you for mentioning her. You just brought back some very warm, happy memories there. So thank you for that. She was lovely. Always said hello. This is very enlightening. Timescales is also saying. I'm glad I caught the show today. I'm glad it is, because it's so important that I've always said Doctor Who won't work outside the BBC, but the BBC is in trouble. And now BBC Studios have got it. They don't know what to do with it. They've given to people whom they've trusted to think, oh, they know about it because they're fans or they've done it before or whatever. They're messing it all up. The future, I personally think, for this show, one way or another, doesn't look good. I know there's going to be people up in arms about that, but I don't think it looks good at all. And when you've got somebody like Russell T Davies who believes in the license fee and loves the BBC passionately, sort of hinting, I've got to get Doctor Who ready for when there is no license fee. It's not working now, is it, really?
Yeah.
I think the only way you're going to see any new content that's featuring Doctor Who going forward is going to be purely fan-made. And I do not include Big Finish in that. I mean, actual fan-made, not sycophant. Tick.
Like our friend Phil Roy.
Yeah.
Who I think is in the chat. Hello, Philip. It's good to see you. Actually, you think I planned all this, wouldn't you? Stay with us.
We've got seamless segue.
We have got some exclusive photographs coming up from Phil during the show later on.
Oh, lovely.
So stay with us from his new independent film, Doctor Who meets I keep wanting to say Scratchman because it's an S word. Doctor Who and the Scorpion. So thank you for sending those in, Philip. He's in the chat. They're coming up later. But I agree, Ian. I don't think. I think it's going to be like it was in the 90s, which were far healthier in my estimation, and my experience of what to Doctor Who than we have now.
Yeah,
far more healthier time to be a Doctor Who fan then. Frank Spencer's lovely to see you. The BBC won't go full app service because they know they will not get paying subscribers. Would you seriously pay a monthly fee to the BBC? I would not. That's the key. Yeah. And we've said on this show, haven't we, Guy? I know you've both said, and I know we've all said on this show, that as soon as they do something like that, the truth will be revealed by how many people want the BBC service.
And it means they'll pull their socks up, you'd like to think, to make better programme, then people will pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But would they? Would they? It means
they're not brave enough.
Double down. They'll just double down and try and blame X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it means they'd have to work, Ian. They would have to. They would have to work. They would have to produce quality, and they would have to be competitive.
They'd have to return to core values, which they haven't had for 20 plus years.
Well, they don't know it. Those idiots have got in there now.
Lord Reith must be spinning in his grave. I'm telling you that.
So, totally. Yeah. God, can you imagine if he was around now, or if he came back now, he would be furious about what they've done to the BBC.
Yeah.
Paul Rose is saying to us, it's an antiquated system and should have ended a while ago. You can't make people pay a bill for something they don't use. Now, if you are watching live TV or iPlayer, fair enough. It is fair enough if you're using the service. But my point is, more and more the British public aren't, Paul, are we? We're just, it's losing people all the time. And when you look at their output, it's no surprise. It's the same thing with a different set. You know, celebrity this, celebrity that, celebrity. You know, come back to me when you got Barbara Streisand on something. That's when I'll call something.
Yeah, look up the definition of celebrity, you know, because I've no idea who these people are, honestly.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Non-entity, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talking to the man himself, there's Phil Roy. Exactly, Ian. They could have hired a local reporter and crew for half the price, emailed them what questions and they wanted asking. I found this as well with the civil service, because it's not their money and because they don't necessarily have to account for it properly. They don't care. And they can allegedly just do something like that. You know, well, yes, pay for the flight over. We'll go over. We'll spend a few days there. We'll come back. There needs to be more accountability from all these services that are allegedly acting on the public's behalf, which is what the BBC is supposed to do. And in my estimation and my opinion, doesn't. Anyway, it wasn't great, Paul. You're right. Bad episodes of Paul about something there. We are just.
That was Idiot's Lantern they're referring to.
Oh, right. I can't remember it. We are just
That's
lost.
a good one.
On a pink Lambretta, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the one at the Jubilee, the coronation?
That's right, the Jubilee. Yes. Yeah. The coronation. Yeah.
Absolutely delighted with that then. And here's something from Lex Kane. Hi, JT and the team. Could you say happy birthday to my mum? She's 71 on Monday. Absolutely. Happy birthday to Lex Kane's mum.
Happy birthday.
Happy 71st tomorrow. Hope you're going to have a lovely day. Lex, I think you've been spoiling her rotten. Quite right, too. Hope you're well, my lovely. Hope you keep fit and healthy. And yes, I'm so sorry that you have to pay for the BBC license fee now, don't you? Because what happened, everybody that don't know, they used to stop people of a certain age, i.e. retirement age. I think it was about 65 onwards back in the day. When you got to that age, you didn't have to pay the BBC license fee and you just watch television. However, because people aren't paying the BBC license fee these days, they've brought it back. So if you are over retirement age, you have to pay it again now. You utter contemptuous so-and-so.
But they can't even put their TVs on now because they can't afford it. That's why.
They can't afford it, yeah. They can't afford the heat or anything. Yeah. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Disgraceful.
But anyway, happy birthday to Lex Kane's mum. How lovely. And yeah, glad you're watching. I hope we're entertaining you as we kick off about all sorts of stuff. Let's have a look and see what else we've got here. It's great to see you all in the chat. Lots of them. Dividing Dragons joined us. Hello, nice to see you, DD. Eddie J. Riley, it's nice to see you. Thank you very much. And Tony Farrell's with us, saying to us, greetings all, there should be a small universal fee to support the transmission network, but that is it as far as any license fee goes. See, the great point about this as well is that there are many options that the BBC just won't even contemplate. They won't even sit down and start talking about the future of the organisation because they think it's all this way when the public want it to be that way. What's the point of the BBC anymore?
If it was invented now, if the BBC was brought into being now with technology as it is, it would never be this model. It would just not happen. It would be seen as insane.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Which is, of course, what it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got Mark X joining us here as well to say, sadly, the show is heading for a lengthy rest again. The irony is that the person in charge when it returned in 2005 will be in charge when it's rested. Sadly, Mark, I can't wait till it's gone off the air because it's embarrassing. Yeah. I get asked an awful lot at the moment, of course, about, oh, you're a Doctor Who fan. And I have to clarify to say I was up until this particular date. That's when I was. And then I'll explain to everybody because the new series, the new versions are nonsense. And I will tell them why. And you know the amount of people, guys, that have actually said, oh, yes, we know what you mean. We don't watch it anymore. Because, you know, oh, yeah, they've went down all this route and, oh, they turned him into a woman. Oh, they've got this one in and, oh, the new one's gay or whatever. It suddenly comes out from these people who've sort of tried to suss out where I am as a fan.
Yeah.
A friend of mine said about the Jodie era, said that that was bad Doctor Who. He said the Shooty era is just bad television. And he's a massive classic Who fan, you know, and he's right. You know?
Yeah. Well, it was bad television. We proved the point as well, didn't we? You know, getting lots of people saying hello and happy birthday to Lex Kane's mum, which is fabulous. Thank you very much for that. Hope she has a lovely day. And what else we got here as well? And yeah, keep your comments coming through as we go through all these chats, everybody. Timescales is asking us, is the license fee for one person or the whole household? It's to cover the household.
Yeah.
If they could, they'd introduce a different one per set. If they could,
they would. Yeah, or per person, you definitely. Yeah.
Oh, they definitely would if they could, but even that's going too far, and that would cause an uproar as well. But yeah, it's per household. So they did try. I think they did try at one point back in the day, and I might be wrong about this because, as J&T used to say, the memory cheats. I'm sure at one point they tried to say you need to have more than one if you've got 2 tellies or more. Because in the 80s, remember, everybody was getting those black and white portables in the bedrooms.
Yeah.
That was the big trend. I'm sure they were trying to say you had to have, if you had the color one downstairs, you had to have the black and white license upstairs. I might be wrong. It's something that's in the back of my head.
Possibly.
I'm probably right though, aren't I? Considering it's the BBC and everything else they've done. But anyway,
if they could pull that off, they would try it. They would definitely do it. If they could get away with it, either now or in the 80s, they would. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of comments coming through from you all. I'm glad we're allowing everybody to vent here this evening, but it's something that is going to touch Doctor Who. So we want to talk about it here on Headlines. Headlines is indeed our political show, as well, you know, and this is the show where you can come in and tell us everything that you're feeling and give your view without any judgment or fear of being reprimanded on this channel. Lady of Traken is joining us. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to see you. Hope you are well, Lady of Traken. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so we're going to move on, everybody, if you don't mind, as we move on to the next thing. Now, our next story involves this lady because, of course, this week, Billie Piper had a birthday. Happy birthday, Billie Piper. She liked me. I don't know if she would these days, but she did back then. Looking fabulous in this. This was her at an event a few months ago at BAFTA, and she turned up in a blue sparkly catsuit. Absolutely stunning. It suited her. She could walk around Tesco in that outfit, and she would look fabulous. She would look absolutely fabulous. So, happy birthday to Billie Piper. The Radio Times mentioned Billie's birthday this week, but they couldn't help themselves, and they deviated from that message very, very quickly, as you will see in this article here. I know this is something that really annoyed Problem Being because he sent this to me. So I want to say thank you to Problem Being for sending this one. Let's talk about it, shall we, mister? Here we go. Billie Piper, grateful to Doctor Who fans in a sweet birthday post. The former Doctor Who companion shouted out the fans of the sci-fi series. Oh, isn't that lovely? Here we go. In a post-birthday post, Billie Piper has expressed gratitude for Doctor Who fans as the actress turned 42. Can't believe she's only 42. Posting a series of images on her Instagram, the former Doctor Who companion wrote, "Turned 42. Grateful for all your cute messages and also my kids, our home, my sisters." She then went on to list various things and later wrote, "Doctor Who fans." Of course, Piper is best known to Whovians. I hate that term so much.
Oh, me too.
Oh, it's just vile, isn't it? I remember when that term came in the 80s and remember cringing at it then, and it's sort of stuck.
Yeah.
Why?
You certainly make vacuum cleaners, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
No offense to our friends across the pond, but I think it's very much an American term.
Of course it is. But that's where it came from, because they had Trekkies and Trekkers, and they had to label themselves for some of the for Doctor Who fans. So they came up with Whovian. Over here, we were just Doctor Who fans, thank you very much, and terribly British with it. I hate the term Whovians. It just grates on me. Anyway, back to the story. Piper is best known to Whovians as former companion Rose Tyler, but has more recently been on our screens in Netflix's Scoop, Chaos, and is also set to star in the second anticipated season of Wednesday. Now, I didn't know that. Wednesday, of course, if you don't know, is the huge hit that Netflix had a couple of years ago now about Wednesday from the Addams Family. And it's taken this long to get the second series coming on. So I didn't know Billie Piper was going into that. Maybe that's why she's got black hair.
Was Scoop the thing about Prince Andrew that she did? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was as well.
Yeah.
But that didn't get much after a little while. That's sort of died a death now, isn't it? Nobody cared.
Well, they've done 2 versions of it, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, already.
Yippee-doo.
Doing what? What's the difference?
They were just made by different production companies. So same drama about what happened on with the Emily Matlas interview thing that he did with her. But they've done
so it's
dramatic versions of it. Yeah. So,
it's not the same production company that's done 2 separate cuts. It's
it's 2 separate interpretations of it, shall we say?
Weird.
Yeah, really
very weird. Very bad timing for the companies that put the money into it. But there you go. In the article, it says, in her time on Doctor Who, Piper was a regular on the show, as we all know, from 2005 to 2006, and then returned for the last 3 episodes of season 4 and specials in 2010 and 2013. Radio Times actually getting something right. But at this particular point, it can't help itself. It can't help itself, can it, Lee? And it goes off on a tangent. More recently, the Rose Tyler legacy was continued with the introduction of new character Rose Noble, who was played by Heartstopper's Yasmin Finney, the daughter of Donna Noble. We were introduced to Rose in Doctor Who's first 60th anniversary special, The Star Beast. As for whether we can ever hope to see Piper back in the long-running sci-fi, Piper previously said that she'd be open to the possibility. She told The Independent, and at this point I'm going to say about 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't go back as a full-time thing, but I'd love to make another appearance. But they just couldn't help themselves. They had to get Yasmin Finney into the article somehow. And I think I know why. This week on Netflix, Heartstopper Series 3 dropped. Now, Heartstopper Series 3, of course, is the series on Netflix that actually sort of kickstart Yasmin Finney's career and brought her to the attention of a certain Russell T Davies. Because in Heartstopper, I have to say, I watched the first series of Heartstopper and didn't mind it. However, the second series was utter trash, and I'm going to say it. And the third series I'm not even going to bother with because they went too much down the TQ thing. And there was a remark in the first series that I let go and ignored because it was just a remark about how a teacher who wouldn't recognize the fact that Elle, the character played by Yasmin Finney, was a boy who transitioned. They were calling him phobe, the usual phobe. No, I let that pass. I let that pass, although it wound me up. I let that pass because this teacher wouldn't use the proper pronouns and all this sort of stuff. However, since then, of course, we've had the cast report, which says that a lot of these youngsters who are in school like this character have been misinformed, etc., etc., etc. But here we go with this whole thing again. Now, Yasmin Finney, because of the new series of Heartstopper Series 3, has been doing selected press launches, and all this sort of stuff. One of which was the One Show, produced by BBC Studios and broadcast on BBC One over the last few days. I don't watch the One Show because I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a waste of time, a waste of effort, and a waste of money. I think it's
his outfit with the helmet off.
This has been causing an awful lot of consternation with people watching. He was wearing a big coat in a studio. That's the coat. That's a coat. That's a coat. Everybody buckled up. Why was this there? But they were predominantly there, along with one of the actors, there to talk about Heartstopper 3 and to publicize it to an audience who watches the One Show, who wouldn't care less, quite frankly. But again, it shows, in my opinion, where the BBC is coming from. Yeah. Doctor Who is mentioned in this, and if you've seen it on the One Show or social media, they bring up this. And this awful presenter from Wales, Alex somebody, awful. She's been there forever.
Alex Jones.
Well, wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere else, quite frankly. Been there forever. Oh, come on, admit it.
Well, Bed Weir's a big fan. I remember him saying he likes Alex Jones. I think he said.
Well, that's fine, but where else is she going to get a job?
Yeah,
I want
Tesco's. Tesco's.
I'm not even sure about that, but I got no time for these people that. Anyway.
I hear Bedweir's got 3 Alex Jones action figures. Just
wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
Boxes, just saying.
2 unopened, 1 to play with, but that's another story. So
keep your comments coming, everybody. I will try and get an awful lot to you, but I will get that to you. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, back to the story. Yeah, so they're talking about this, and basically Yasmin Finney. He's saying all about, it's a great thing. Oh, Doctor Who. Oh, lovely. Yeah, I'm playing the daughter of Donna. All this sort of stuff. Oh, it's wonderful. David's wonderful. Catherine's wonderful. All the usual guff that actors tend to say. But then the Radio Times goes on to suggest that Yasmin Finney is back in Doctor Who in the Christmas episode. Now, I don't know whether that's proven. I don't know whether That's true. I don't know whether somebody was just getting it mixed up with the episodes that Yasmin Finney was in last year.
Yeah.
But that's what they say in the article, that, you know, Yasmin Finney is in the next episode of Doctor Who. So I was going to ask what your reactions to that are, but you've just done it, guys. So thanks for that.
Well, I'm actually surprised they didn't make more of that character, because they made such a fuss in the Star Beast about how important she was. And then when he came back in the Empire of Death Legend of Ruby Sunday, he was hardly in it. So it's like, so I think he was cut out, I think, but who knows? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
He just had a sideways desk job, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because between the Star Beast, now we all know RTD came out and said, oh, we're going to be seeing more of this version of Rose because I want to work with this actor more. And then, as you say quite rightly, and I think we commented on it, an awful lot of the scenes were edited. They were gone. They were disappeared. It was minimal. Now, I'm wondering if that's because somebody actually did go with the scissors and say, oh, hang on a second.
Yeah.
We've had this thing come out. There is this discussion going on now, which they didn't want us to have. It's the bigger picture that's coming along now. Do you know what I mean? I'm wondering if somebody did come and say, just take Yasmin Finney out as much as you can.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a bit make me think. So when the Radio Times is alleging and suggesting that Yasmin Finney is back in Joy to the World, interesting, isn't it? We're going to have to wait and see on that one. But why would that be?
I expect the character to be back in season 2, probably at some point. If Unit's involved in some way, I'm sure that character will be back in it at some point, I'm sure.
Maybe they just want to sprinkle it with some extra festive naff.
Do you think it'll need any more, Ian, do you think?
No, I don't. But, you know, they'll just go OTT and give it more anyway, won't they? Just a little bit of extra festive naffness.
Heretic OSJC is asking us, with the cash report, does that mean Heartstopper becomes a complicated issue? In my eyes, yes, it absolutely does. Because the Heartstopper series is based on Heartstopper books, which are too, in my estimation, for a generation that's being pandered to all the time, they're too fluffy. It's a lovely romance between two boys at school that fall in love. And that's where I left it. I thought, right, it only needs one series. I don't want to know about what goes on as they get into adult life, because you can guarantee it involves emotion and the thing that leads us off the rails, you know, when we discover all the antics that go with emotion, because that's where life gets really complicated, kids. You know, so I wasn't interested in that, but I thought, you know, but it does, because this character transitioned at school, which is currently, thanks to the cast report and people asking questions. Yeah, there are now questions in the United Kingdom about why that's allowed to happen. And we do, of course, know that some of these schools, Paul, are going down the ideological route where teachers using pronouns, teaching all this TQ cult nonsense, encouraging children to maybe use different names and pronouns without their parents' permission. And by, in some very rare cases, I am led to believe, referring them to alleged experts who will tell them they've been born in the wrong body. What a load of all nonsense.
That's what I was going to say. I think the cast report is a great thing to be done, but it just seems they're ignoring it completely. That's really sad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And yet here we have the BBC yet again endorsing it, because we know where RTD stands with this as well. So yes, from my point of view, Heartstopper is problematic, and I think it's such a shame, because it could have been such a positive thing. They will think, because they're show business, and there are Doctor Who people working on this. Euros Lynn directed the first series. There's a name for you. Remember him? And did a cracking job, as far as I'm concerned. It was very nicely directed, and the pace was nice. But you've got this whole thing now where it's actually out of date when it comes to Britain. You know, because we need to ask more questions. We need to hold more people, in my opinion, to account as to what's going on in schools, what's going on around the education system, what's going on. We've had mermaids being taken to court. We've had, you know, the Tavistock Clinic shut down. We saw everything that was going on with Kemi Badenoch, you know, in the previous government. There's more questions that need to be asked on this. There's only one Rose, says Lex Kame. That's Rose Tyler. You can't make another Rose. Rose Noble didn't work and does not force woke on poor kids. Please stop. We just want a sci-fi show with escapism and no wokeness. Well, I think those days are gone now for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We got that up to 1989.
Yeah. There's more to come in season 2, I'm sure. Yeah. Much more.
Yeah. Eddie Day Riley.
As well.
Sorry, Ian?
Too late for them to change it as well, because they filmed it such a long time ago now. So, you know, as the moods change and everything, they'll get caught out. It'll be quite amusing, those reviews.
Well, this is where it'll be interesting to see what the editor's going to be doing, because I mean, I warned about this when we realized they were doing 2 series back to back, didn't I? I said, look, this is complete arrogance, because I'm sure they were expecting this thing to be a massive, huge, hurrah, yeah, everybody loves this. And it wasn't. It was a major flop. It was an RTD flop. It was a Bad Wolf flop. It was a BBC Studios flop. It was a BBC One flop. No matter how they tried to fudge it all. Oh, it's had 6 million views on iPlayer. Oh, we've hit the target audience. That's the other thing that's concerning, isn't it? We've hit the target audience, the age group, the demographic we want.
And no one else matters. Yeah.
Yeah, children. And what you're showing them, fantasy and ideological nonsense. Not very responsible adults, are you? Eddie Day Riley is saying to us, what is the point of Rose Noble? A complete waste of time. Well, the point was to prove a point, wasn't it? Russell's point.
Yeah.
That's all Yasmin Finney's character was in there for.
Yeah, doing it just for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's pointing out that the character of Rose Noble was good with an iPad. Remember, that's what the character was doing, wasn't it? It was just on the iPad through that awful, terrible episode. What else we got here from everybody? Domgo, hello to you. The Doctor Who 2024 Christmas special. This year's story is called Domgo Meets the Off Button. I'm going to tune in for that one.
Other titles are available. Yeah. And will be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And DD, Divining Dragon, is saying to us, I keep finding other quality shows to revisit in order to avoid current day programming. Yeah, I mean, that's the brilliant thing about where television is today. We're getting all these old channels with stuff from the old days, which is good stuff. Really I've
been watching Nearest and Dearest on one of the entertainment channels, and Hilda Baker is superb. She's very funny, I have to say. It really is. But,
that's brilliant. Hilda Baker.
Superb.
Graham, I enjoyed the last series, but I can't do it all again for the forthcoming one or the Christmas special. It's just too depressing and upsetting. Well, it's just as well, Graham, that unfortunately we're going to be doing it for you here on Who's Views.
Join us for the after shows.
Please come and join us, because I'd be crying, I can tell you. I'm really not looking forward to it. So come and join us and make sure I'm getting through it all, because I'll be in therapy by the end of the next slot, I tell you. It's going to be terrible. Who Radio Times works with Pink News, says Chris Lawley. It's uncanny, isn't it, really? You know, it's just so one-sided. But on that article, there's problem being sent to me to include into the show. Yeah, they had to mention Billie Piper, and then go. There was no connection there at all, apart from the word Rose. It's not part of the Rose Tyler legacy at all. It just happened to be the same name.
Why didn't they bring the Yorkshire Terrier in from Age of Steel, Rise of the Cybermen, then? Because that was called Rose, wasn't it? If we're going to be completely inclusive about this, why not bring the dog in as well?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very, very good point. Bring back the Daleks, says Marjorie.
Romantic.
Very. Eddie Day is also saying to us they can sit their pronouns where the sun don't shine. And let kids be kids, say Frank Spencer. It's frightening how much things have changed to the point now where we're not allowing children just to be children and having fun. And people are slapping pronouns on them or telling them they're non-binary.
Let them grow up in their own time. That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also give them facts. Don't be giving them BS. Don't be lying to them. And this is what this lot do. They are lying to children, confusing them. I mean, I saw a horrific show just this morning here on the Tube of Who, which is basically a news report about an American family, I say family, who are telling a very small child who's only about 1 or 2 years old, whatever it was, very, very small, that they don't have a gender. Why? Leave the kid alone.
Why are they talking about gender anyway with a 1 or 2-year-old? That's just crazy.
Yeah, teach the child, who was a little boy, I believe, how to use the toilet first, for crying out loud.
Exactly. Yeah.
And leave him to grow up. I mean, come on, it's nonsense. John Mason is, I know this is partly jokey, and let to identify as animals. That is happening here as well, isn't it? It's
Woof,
absolutely
woof. Yeah.
There was a report, wasn't there, this week that said there's an alarming number of children starting primary school, so age 4 or 5, that are still in nappies and can't go to the toilet and properly themselves. And it's, some of it's being blamed on COVID. Well, I don't buy that, because if it was lockdown, then the parents were there, so they had all the time in the world to attend to teaching their children how to go to the toilet or how
It's
to
simply
use the
bad
bathroom.
parenting. That's all it is.
It's very bad parenting. And if they were
Totally
spending
bad
all their time talking about gender and not talking about how to do number ones and number twos, then frankly, social services should be getting involved, because
I've got 2 dogs and they're house trained, and that wasn't a problem. So,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is. I've said it before. We're celebrating mental ill health here from these idiots that are going along this. These far left ideological liberals. They've lost the blooming plot. This stuff, and then they're trying to enforce it on the rest of us, where we have to make a stand to say, no, we're not going to accept this. No. This is nonsense. This is reality, and you're not part of it. And you need to come back to reality and leave the kids to understand what reality is. No wonder we've got youngsters today who won't work, who are too busy flying a flag for the wrong causes. It's ridiculous. Schentmeister is saying in Australia the cash report has been both largely ignored and written off by a government as irrelevant. That's shocking. Absolutely shocking. We need more. We need the cash report to be heard more in Australia, Canada, America, everywhere, because it's really important.
It's really crazy the cash report had to be thought of in the first place to be done, because it's a no-brainer what's in it. You know what I mean? It's incredible,
Yeah, but we also have people within the entertainment business ignoring it at all, just plodding on. They can't. They mustn't, because it's factual, and it's really, really important. Because it is, isn't it, Stephen? It is frightening. They're ignoring this. They can't. This is children. This is somebody's life, and so many of them are being ruined. But anyway, I find this ridiculous. But I was just when problem being sent that to me, I just thought, this is just typical of anything to do with this industry and all this. It's just they couldn't help themselves, could they? They had to get it in, and it's all because they were desperate enough to try anything in with the fact that Heartstopper 3 was starting. Because on the Radio Times this week, they've even given the cover to Heartstopper 3. And I think, again, it's a real desperate attempt to try and get these young people who will go and watch Heartstopper, because it is huge. Well, I've said that the first series was huge. I don't know if the audience has been sustainable, but it's obviously trying to sell copies. That's all it's about. It's about selling an issue. Oh, it's got a cover on. The kids will buy it at £7 or whatever it was a week. I don't think so. Ridiculous, isn't it? Let's have a look and see what you're saying. The chat is so busy. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you very much. Philip Roy is saying to you, as Hilda Baker and Nearest and Dearest is fabulous. And Tony remembering, how have you been?
I love her malapropism she does. They're superb. Really good.
Heretic OS Stacey is saying, after the cash report, it took NHS Scotland far too long to ban the puberty blockers. They really only did it due to pressure. That is really a worry. And the pressure came from the public. And realistic groups. You're absolutely right. Too many of these people have been brainwashed in my view to this ideological, fantastical nonsense, and they're so scared of being seen to be doing something in case some alleged activist comes at them. That's what I think. I think people are living in fear about saying truth. The truth cannot hurt you, as my nan used to say. They can do anything they want to you, but the truth cannot hurt you, because the truth will always out. God bless her. So anyway, we've got all this going. So thank you so much. What else? Yes, we're all going to be looking at all this sort of stuff. We are going to be looking at the new series. Eddie Day saying to you all, Helder Baker was fantastic. I've been watching Bless This House with Sid James. Oh, really? I used to love that as a little boy. I don't know why. I just like Sid James, I guess. Talking of which stuff, this Wednesday, we're going to be talking about, I know he's not in it, but we are going to be talking about Carry On Screaming this Wednesday, everybody, live at 8 o'clock here on the channel, Ian.
And that'll be one of the things we'll be talking about, the fact he's not in it. That'll be interesting.
Hilda Baker have a hit record version of You're the One That I Want with Arthur Mullard.
That's right. Yeah.
And they got onto Top of the Pops.
Dressed in leather.
Yeah. There's an image. Yeah. So, yeah.
It was though, wasn't it? It was fabulous.
Yeah.
I remember just being loving every minute of it, and when it came on the Sunday charts, hilarious.
Did it get to #1? It probably did.
I can't remember. Probably did, didn't it?
Novelty records often do, you know, like Shut Up in Your Face and Grandad and things like that, you know.
Schempmeister saying to us, Schempmeister saying, I'd be very interested to know sales figures for merchandise directly related to this new series. What merchandise exactly is that?
Yeah. Zero. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All they've had are the safe things. I say safe, but I'm talking about books and CDs and downloads.
And sex toys, sonic screwdrivers.
That says it all to me. There is where are all these alleged versions of the? I was expecting the announcement a couple of weeks ago. Where are all the character options action figures? You know, where are the 20 million different variations of Shooty Gatwas?
Maybe he has been fired. Who knows?
You may think that, but we couldn't possibly comment yet.
Allegedly.
Yet. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if the 2025 Doctor Who annual has a pronoun word search in it, says Dongo. Yeah. So yeah, there's all of that going on. Hello to Childish Travels is dealing with. Hello, mate. How are you? Hope you are well. Good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us as we go through this waffle of all this stuff tonight. I hope you're enjoying it. It is absolutely fantastic to see you all and hearing your views on all these things here. Paul Rose is saying to us here, but JT, tell them how to use which toilet. That's the question. Well, of course, we know the answer.
Yes.
Outrageous behavior from me, isn't it? Absolutely outrageous. But no, there we go. So there's the Radio Times trying desperately to tie Billie Piper's birthday into Yasmin Finney appearing in series 3 of Heartstopper. As far as I'm concerned, quite pathetic, really. Yeah. Really ridiculous. Anyway, thank you for that one as well, Problem Being, for sending that in. I know you were outraged about it, so we've talked about it. I hope you're feeling a little bit better now, because it was a ridiculous thing for them to do.
It's interesting that Billie Piper is saying she wants to come back, because I saw an article, I don't know if you guys saw it, that Carl-Anne Ford's looking to come back, apparently. So we're
going to be talking about that at some other point, because that's only just broken today, isn't it? But I have to point out that bit about Billie, she said that a few years ago. They've just recycled that bit.
Yeah.
You know. So thank you for that. And there is a Problem Being as well. So hopefully you're happier now. We've talked about that a little bit. I hope. Are you? I hope you are, because we're going to move on now. Oh, here we go. Problem Being saying, yes, you're welcome. I had to share the torture. I wasn't prepared to suffer alone. And that's what Who's Views is all about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Never suffer alone.
Exactly. And if you do see a story you think we would like to talk about, then you can get in touch at whosviews1@gmail.com. Send us the link and what you want to talk about. And yeah, it's always worth doing. Sometimes we've seen the stuff, sometimes we haven't seen the stuff. Get it sent to us, and if we can put it into the show, we certainly will. Oh, let's talk about this fella then. Oh my goodness, RTD. Now RTD, he was oh sorry, did I do that live? That was in
just in your head. It was fine.
My goodness, he's exhausting though, isn't he? He's absolutely exhausting, all for the wrong reason these days. But when was Rogue broadcast, everybody? Because when Rogue was broadcast, he was actually taking part in a discussion, as these showbiz people do, at the BAFTA. Here it is. Here, this is how far back we're going with this particular story. Now, this has only just appeared in the last few days on the BAFTA's Tube of Who channel. So I sent this link to Ian and Paul to have a look at this, so they knew what we were talking about. This is part of their series, A Life in Pictures, with Russell T Davies on this particular one. It's there's nothing new in this, I don't think. They've split it into chapters, so you have to watch them all. I wouldn't recommend it. I've watched a couple. I've watched the one where he was talking about the 1999 Channel 4 show that launched him because it was controversial at the time, and I loved it at the time. It's extremely dated now. It was called Queer as Folk, which is a play on an old British saying, which means not quite right. You know, not quite right. Oh, ain't nothing as queer as folk. It means that they're doing something a little bit odd, or they're acting in an odd way, doesn't it, guys?
I thought it was interesting in that I did watch that one as well. There was interesting about it was queer as the other F word, which
queer is the other F word, which of course they were never going to allow, because in those days you hardly heard the F word on television. Now, as far as I can see, it's dropped every 20 seconds. I don't like it. Call me old-fashioned, don't care. I don't like it. And I
wonder when it'll be in Doctor Who. That'll be interesting.
That'll be the last straw for me. I would be definitely enraged from Scotland on the phone, on the emails, on the letters to the BBC. But this is it. So this is it. Now, the one we're going to be talking about here is where he actually talks about Midnight. Now, do you remember Midnight, everybody? Midnight, of course, was actually an incredibly tense story that RTD penned from the 2008 series, which stars Leslie Sharp. And it was the story where her character was possessed by something, and she would repeat everything. Beautiful episode, scary episode, wonderful cast, nicely directed in that little set. Must have been exhausting for everybody involved. And I actually think it's one of the best things that Russell T Davies has ever written for Doctor Who.
Yeah,
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So we all remember that one, don't we?
Yeah.
It was the Donna Light one. I've been thinking about that phrase all day. It was the Donna Light one. Great episode, though. And he's talking in this as well about how it was difficult to write and then to produce. And then he shouted out the editor who said he micro edited this thing to make sure that everybody was in sync, because no human being can get it that good. That was actually quite good. But then he sort of goes off on things, doesn't he, guys? You know, and he's talking about Rogue. You know, and this is where I sort of lost it. I thought, you're going from Midnight and telling these people in the audience who are listening to you, who are obviously studying, or I would imagine a lot of them are obviously studying the industry and the art and writing and producing and all this sort of stuff. And you've gone from a really good example of how you can write Doctor Who when you wanted to how not to do it. How not to do it, because you're now a completely different person. And it just illustrates Midnight there, Rogue here. It illustrates how he's changed as an individual. Now, you two have seen this as well. When he started to talk about Rogue, what were your reactions?
Well, what was interesting, he did say about he thought he needed a light episode, and he immediately mentioned the Doctor's romantic interest in the episode, which it still annoys me no end, because I don't want to see any romance for the Doctor, whether it be gay, straight, whatever. But it's like, he did say as well on that point that people have trouble writing the Doctor because he's the most intelligent character in the show, and he's more intelligent than the writer.
Yeah.
And he really actually doesn't get the fact, he's obviously missing the point, because he can't write the Doctor either.
No.
If he could write the Doctor, maybe should have more of a chance to be the Doctor, who knows? But he can't write him himself. So he should be monitored as well by someone who knows how to write the Doctor. He can't do it, you know?
I wouldn't go that far about Shooty maybe having a chance, Paul. I mean, you know, the program's supposed to be science fiction, not the reality as well. I don't think he's got it in him. But yeah, I mean, I'd completely echo what you're saying there. Just when he moves on to Rogue, it just irritates me. And the guy irritates me anyway now for everything that he's become and everything that he's peddling. But he is your ultimate seller of snake oil, isn't he? He's just full of it, and he is talking as if he's the person that's got it just right, whereas the reality is he's officiating over the biggest failure that this program's had in 60 years, and yet he's treating it as a success. It's complete arrogance from a total narcissist, and I ended up stopping watching. I couldn't watch much more. It just irritated me so much. Horrible, man. Horrible.
Yeah. Frank Spencer saying to you, bang on, Ian. I mean, I have the same problems you guys do, especially you, Ian, when it comes to listening to this man now. I have no time for him anymore at all, because I know too much about his political opinions and where he's coming from, and it's absolutely directly opposite to mine. I feel I'm more based in the real world, and I can see things a little bit more clearly by him, because I'm not interested in climbing on a bandwagon. I'm not going to be sold, you must think this, you must say this, you must refer to that person as that person. I'm not going to do it, even though it's alienated me from a lot of my alleged community. A lot of people I have known in my life, a lot of people won't talk to me now because they can't be seen to be talking to people that won't bend the knee. So that's all there. I don't care truth will out eventually. But this was recorded at the time when Rogue had just been screened. Now, remember, Rogue did see an increase in the viewing figures on the overnight. We reported that. That's simply because it was labeled the Bridgerton episode.
Yeah.
That's all. How many people suddenly switched off when the Doctor suddenly broke with character of 60 years and became a lustful, I can't even describe it, but became something more akin to something in a soap opera. That was
like
not
a hormonal teen.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was embarrassing. We talked about this on the show. I remember being very angry at the time about this, thinking that's not the Doctor. That's not Doctor Who. And he's going around insisting that's what Doctor Who is now. That's who the Doctor is now. No, it's not. And he also says, doesn't he, Paul, that right at the beginning of this, he talks about how the fact that the writers that came into this wanted a romance for the Doctor.
Yeah.
And because he wanted a fun episode, he thought, let's go with that. This is where Doctor Who's now got, because we've had the River Song nonsense, we've had the Rose the Rose nonsense, we've had all this stuff about he married Marilyn. We've had all this, so now they think that they can actually play the. It's not Doctor Who in any way, shape, or form.
Well, they could have had. They talked about having a party atmosphere for it, and they could have had that. Because if you look at some like the Romans or something. With Nero chasing Barbara around, they're all having a bit of fun. It's a bit of a farce. They can do that. They can do silly things like that. But they could have a party without all the sexual side of it. You know what I mean? It's meant to be a family show, isn't it?
I mean, Hartnell did it with Kameka in the Aztecs, didn't he? And you go all the way up to Kinder, and there was an inference that there was some kind of thing between the Doctor and Nerys Hughes' character. Was it Todd?
Todd,
they
was Todd.
were talking about that, and they just talked softly to each other. There was nothing else at all. But he's lost it. He's completely lost touch with reality. He's just agenda led, and agenda driven.
He's lost the character of the Doctor. I've said this many times. That he's not been the Doctor since Capaldi, and even then Capaldi fluctuated in the writing as well. So it's so infuriating. The Doctor's not there at all.
We haven't seen the Doctor for a long time.
No,
and of course I never saw, as everybody will know, I never saw the Whittaker version. So I think I was expecting the Doctor, and I didn't get the Doctor through those 9 if you include that Christmas thing, which I was prepared to wait to see what happened after that series. I now know I didn't see the Doctor in those 9 episodes, and I'm not prepared to see the Doctor in the 9 episodes that are coming up. I'm just not prepared to. I don't think he's going to be there. They may prove me wrong. Shooty may prove me wrong. I don't think it's going to happen. Schempmeister is absolutely correct here. Didn't RTD give Rogue to the writers of Loki as a way of apology for something he'd said about the latter? Absolutely, he did. We've covered that on one of our previous shows as well. And Boomer Doug saying to us here, Rogue was the last straw for me. I still have post-traumatic stress. You're not alone, because a lot of people dipped out at that point because we saw the ratings going down again. Because the Doctor is not. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The Doctor is not human. He shouldn't have all these things. And why they are absolutely obsessed with making him human, I don't know. That's the Peter Cushing Doctor Who. He's human. This is the Time Lord. He's not a human. Why have they just done this to the character? I just don't understand and never will.
Well, Peter Cushing can play quite a tarty part. If you remember Curse of Frankenstein, he was quite a Lothario in that, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Well, those are no. I'm not political, says Frank Spencer, but these far left have no grasp on reality. Well, that's the whole point about them. They haven't. And as I keep saying, we didn't leave the left left does, because they went too ideological. They went too far over, and they're the ones causing all the problems in the world right now. They're very quick to blame the other side, but no, it's them, because the world will not bend the knee to what they want. That's the issue. But what they want is fantasy. It's utter nonsense. Paul Roughton saying to us, I haven't seen more than short clips of Rogue, and even that was an utter insult. Tacky, cringy, and will never be rewatched compared to classics when we wore out our VHS copies. I mean, I would say to anybody, don't watch any of that nonsense that they peddled out in 2024. To be quite honest, it wasn't Doctor Who. If you want Doctor Who, go back to 1963 to 1989. That's Doctor Who, and some episodes from 2005 to Capaldi. Some, not all, but some.
Largely episodes not written by Russell T Davies.
Yeah. And we're going to be investigating this more, because now that I've said go and watch some of them, as part of our Halloween season here on Who's Views, we are going to be looking at the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. I remember that at the time. I haven't watched it since, but I remember at the time thinking that's the Doctor.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very keen on David Tennant at the time. Couldn't see him. But that's when I thought in those episodes, oh, it's a version of Tom Baker's Doctor. But more of that coming later on this month here on the channel. So all up for you now on the channel, by the way, so you can have a look and see what we're going to be looking at. Problem being, you may think that we couldn't possibly comment. And rogue, I think, is what Peter Venkman means here, saying it was genuinely stupid. It's gay propaganda, says Matthew Pounder. Now, can I just correct you on that, please, Matthew, as I want to? I have to make the distinction. It's not gay propaganda. It's LGBTQI plus propaganda. It's got nothing to do with LGB. There are two factions, if you like. Now, we are not one community. And what they've done in Doctor Who now is nothing to do with same-sex attracted people as part of the LGBT community, because we don't want this. We're quite secure. We have been for decades now, a couple of decades at least. We're quite secure. We don't want all this flag-waving nonsense. So what they've done in there is push the TQ cult propaganda, not ours. And you'll find that the majority of sane same-sex attracted people like myself do not want this in Doctor Who, and we certainly don't want the Doctor sexual in any way at all. Heterosexual, homosexual, we don't want that. We just want the Doctor. That's that. So hopefully you've got that point. I hope so. Mike Disney, the Rogue review on Who's Views was quite memorable. Glad I've not seen the actual show.
I think our show was better, to be fair. Yeah.
I'm sure we were more entertaining.
Yeah,
we probably got more ratings as well.
Yeah. A lot of you actually going through all this now with Boomer Doug, and also TARDIS Travel saying the Devil's Board episode switched me off. Well, it switched a lot of people off, quite frankly. It really did. Yes, there's an awful lot of you in there. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's girl saying the woman who fell to earth was the last straw for me and my boo. What's that mean? The woman who fell to earth. Oh, is that a Whittaker?
That's the Jodie Whittaker's first episode. Yeah.
And sadly not her last one.
Sadly not, no.
Oh, wasn't it? Okay. Right. Sorry about that, but I don't know any of their titles there. These guys have to keep me in check with that era because I just refuse to watch it. So anyway, we've got all that going. Matthew Pounders also saying we haven't seen the Doctor since 1989. I think Capaldi was nearly there.
Yeah. Matt Smith certainly was. Yeah.
Matt Smith, there were elements of Matt Smith I recognised as the Doctor. I agree with that. But Capaldi, I just wished he'd let him do it the way he wanted to.
Yeah.
Sometimes actors really have to bite their lip.
He just wanted to play John Pertwee. We should have let him just do that. You know what I mean?
He wanted stories that he recognised as Doctor. If you'd said to Capaldi, we're going to let you have script approval, we would have had 3 totally different series, and he probably would have stayed another 4. Well, we know he wanted to stay. Don't we? We know. Well, we think he wanted to stay. Let's just put that through. Thank you very much, everybody. As ever, your chat's fantastic. A lot of them I can't put up on screen or read out. Paul is saying about the 2 we're going to be looking at for Halloween. They were good episodes because they had a decent writer. Yeah.
And the Ood are quite a good creation as well, don't you think? Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to be looking at all those. So thank you. Let's have a look. Let's have a go. Thank you very much, everybody, for this. Really enjoyed this. But listen, this is also tied in with this that came from. Now, I've mentioned this Facebook group at all. I'm not being malicious to this Facebook group at all. They are there, and that's all there is to it. Some of the stuff is they're just reporting like we do on speculation a lot of the time, I think, as well. But they came up with this. The Stephen Moffat fans' Facebook page. Russell T Davies has joked that he wishes Rogue weren't so popular. Following the episode, Jonathan Groff has been in high demand to return to Doctor Who, with many referring to him as the New River Song. Due to Groff's immensely busy schedule, Davies says he will try to bring Rogue back, but I'm not making any promises. So this, again, is an example of propaganda. He wishes Rogue weren't so popular. Note to RTD, it's not. And following the episode, Jonathan Groff has been in high demand to return to Doctor Who, with many referring to him as the New River Song. It's a minority referring to him as the New River Song and wanting him back. You'll find that Doctor Who fans who with a bit of common sense don't want to ever relive the episode ever again.
I reckon Russell plans for him to come back anyway as soon as he was cast in it because of his name. And so if he's not in season 2, he'll definitely be in season 3 if we get a season 3. I bet you.
And fingers crossed
if we get a season 2. Well, you know, if we get a season 3, it still hasn't been confirmed. Stay with us here on Who's Views. As soon as we have any information about that, just remember, however, that Russell T Davies has said in the last couple of months there will be no announcement until after Christmas and well into the new year. I personally think they will be too busy with that new spin-off. I think we're going to be waiting a good 3 or 4 months at least until they come back with anything, or even until after transmission of the spin-off and see what the ratings do with that.
Yeah,
that's a possibility.
Frank Spencer's asking us, who is Rogue? Well, it's the Doctor's boyfriend, Frank Spencer. Quite there you are, and his future husband if they get their way.
Yeah.
Garbage is pointing out River Song popularity went downhill very quickly. I've always said they should have left her in the blooming library. That would have been far better, but they have to spoil things because they get a bit of money for using it, don't they? Yeah. The other thing that I want to point out about that before we move on to our last item, listen, Russell pointed out there about other writers, didn't he, guys? Remember?
Yeah.
And he was saying, as Paul said there, the Doctor is cleverer than the writer, which they all seem to forget. And it's true, as is very true. But he also said that he's why do I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was saying why are there not more writers? But he's come out and said basically because he gets paid by the script.
Yeah,
you know, he gets paid for other stuff. But he's getting paid by the script, so he's not going to give work away, is he? That's why you're getting RTD scripts, more of them in an 8-episode series. That's
like he needs the money, obviously. Yeah.
There you go. You see,
a season of Rob Shearman and Gareth Roberts would have been good.
Yeah.
Better than a season of Russell T Davies any day.
Yeah. Why Rob Shearman never came back after Dalek, I don't know. It's crazy. I do know, but anyway.
Well, we do know. Yeah. And there's a story, but it's not ours to tell. Sheila B in the devotions. I'm not saying much tonight, but I agree the Doctor has lost his way. I think most of us do. Stephen Braddock is certainly agreeing with you. It's shocking, really. It's very, very sad, isn't it?
We all miss the Doctor terribly. That's the problem. So,
we do miss the Doctor terribly. We do.
And remember how we could enjoy proper classic Doctor Who and check out the Demons show from earlier this week.
Absolutely. That was the start of our Halloween, and what a great show that was. I really enjoyed that. We looked at Doctor Who and the Demons, of course, the John Pertwee classic. It's up there on the channel for you if you haven't already watched it. Thank you if you joined us for that and commented on that.
It was great, wasn't it? Really enjoyed
brilliant show.
Yeah. Really enjoyed that.
Brilliant. It was great to look at that one again. Absolutely.
John Pertwee's very cool on a motorbike. Ask Kirsty, she'll tell you. So.
This week, as part of Halloween, on Wednesday live at 8 here on the channel, we are going to be looking at Carry On Screaming, our most requested Carry On film series request that you wanted. You wanted it, so we're going to be looking at it. And what an ideal time to look at it. So it's our most requested show for the Carry On films. And then next week, it's The Brain of Morbius. So dig out your copies of The Brain of Morbius as we look into it and we review that here on the channel. I'm delighted to say that Philip Roy is still in the chat with us because Phil's been with us before, hasn't he, guys? He's come and chatted to us, and we've had some pictures from Phil before about his up-and-coming Doctor Who film, his independent film, which, yes, I think is going to be the future of Doctor Who. I think we're going back to that lovely time that we used to call here in the UK the wilderness years. I don't think there's any discussion about that now. I think it's on its way, and it's going to be down to people like Phil to keep the legend alive. And what a great job he seems to be doing of it. And thank you so much, Phil, for sending us some exclusive pictures to us here at Who's Views. Really chuffed with all of these. So are you ready for these, guys? This is Phil's film. It's still being shot now. We will tell you all exactly when it's going to be released and where it's going to be released and how you can access it when Phil lets us know. But again, thank you for these films. Look at this.
Oh, that's lovely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now that's what I call a TARDIS.
A fantastic police box. Yes, lovely.
Yeah.
Isn't it gorgeous?
It is.
Absolutely stunning. I love this. So let's move on. Everybody, I'll get to you in the chats very soon. Aye, who's this?
Oh, very nice.
Emperor's Guard.
Absolutely wonderful.
Get that head level. Oh,
that's nice.
It's amazing how many times in the series this doesn't actually happen. You know,
Yeah.
where the Daleks just ignore the TARDIS when it's one of the most powerful ships in creation in Doctor Who. You know, I know they've got their own time travel technology, but I don't
They've
know.
got a TARDIS, haven't they? So
Yeah. Hope you're enjoying these photographs. Thank you very much, Philip. Again, here's another one for you.
oh, that's very nice. That's lovely.
Love the flares. Yeah. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how Philip actually portrays this.
He's got a good selection of Daleks, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
they're fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely
That,
gorgeous.
that's a better representation of Daleks than was in the alleged Asylum of the Daleks, which was naff.
From previous stuff I've seen, he's got some film Daleks in there as well, hasn't
Yeah,
he? I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Lovely comments coming from you all in the in the chat. Thank you very much. Times are so bad the Daleks have had to take a warehouse job, says Tugboat Road. Well, they're not going to be employed by the actual show anymore, are they? We've got Wicked from Kirsty, Superb from Frank Spencer, Fantastic Daleks from Eddie. Stephen Braddock is saying to us, "Oh, my favourite Silver and Black. That scene screams Doctor Who."
Mm-hmm.
Neville is saying, "Oh, look, the new Amazon workforce."
Well, they don't have to take toilet breaks, so they get more out of them, don't they?
Yeah, and Dalek
And they
Eye.
can deliver your parcels as well, like drones, can't they? But,
Yeah, Dalek Eye is not surprisingly a huge Dalek fan. He said, "Oh boy, these photos are making me so excited for the actual film." I hope you're paying attention, Phil. We've got this from Timescales. Ah, this is from a fan production. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fantastic classic Daleks. Okay, let's move on.
oh.
I love the angles of the Daleks here because it reminds me of that Whitman jigsaw from back in the day.
Of course, yeah, with the Ogrons.
With the Ogrons and Pertwee.
Yeah.
Mm.
I loved that. I love it when the Daleks are in these sort of positions. You know, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Very nice. When is it on TV? Says Sheila B. Yeah.
When they get the composition right, it makes a huge difference. The Daleks look superb, really.
It does, doesn't it? The Daleks look menacing, and I do like this. Thank you very much, everybody, for your comments. Keep it coming. Problem being saying to us here, look, it looks better than anything from 2018 to the present.
Yeah.
Julianne is saying to us, it already looks like proper Who. And Douglas Smith is saying to us, this is great. Got a couple more for you all.
Can we get Phil to regenerate after shooting? He can take over. That'll be fine. Go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that with the blue eye light. Blue iris.
It's lovely, isn't it? They're really great. Can't wait to see this. Please release on Christmas Day, says Frank.
She looks remarkably calm to say there's Daleks behind her.
It's one of these things where you want to say they're behind you. Because remember, the Daleks are supposed to be are able to be stealth-like, aren't they? They're supposed to be able to be quiet.
Well, not New Who could make all that noise, don't they? Now, but
yeah. Well, I think they've got that annoying mechanical thing going on, don't they? Which never really hit it with me. I wonder if RTD and Bad Wolf will feel threatened by this quality fan production, says Divining Dragon.
Sadly, no, because their ego's too big, isn't it? So
yeah, totally. Seriously looks impressive, says Legion of James, another Dalek fan.
I'm interested if Phil can give us an indication when the film might be finished. I know he's got a lot still to do, but will be early next year, perhaps. Do we know? They're all desperate to see it, obviously. But
yes, really building it up, aren't they? Here, right. Where else are we up to? We are up to the final picture here.
Lovely,
love it. Very Pertwee.
Yeah,
it says, isn't it? Actually, yeah.
There's a very similar photo that was done pre-filming a Day of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Whereas with two Daleks like that on a zebra crossing, there's a few, but
and he's lying on the ground, being knocked over by them, or the one he's got the plungers in his ears, hasn't he? That's the one.
That's it.
Yeah. Great photos. Yeah,
they are, aren't they? So again, thanks to Phil for those pictures. Really enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed those as well. Yes. So when we hear any more from Phil about what's happening with his film, we will let you know, because we've all decided here on the channel that we will be reviewing it somehow. We will all get to see it, and
Can
we
we
will.
have a who views outing and go to the screening? That'd be nice. Yeah,
That's Cardiff though. It's a long way away, isn't it?
that's true. Yeah.
And how many trains is it going to take us to get there?
Can you send us a VHS in the post? That'd be quick.
Oh what? Oh what?
7th generation, of course.
Yeah.
In a brown envelope, maybe. That's Paul showing his age there, everybody. Philip is actually saying to us here, the film will hopefully be out by summer next year. Only a few more scenes to do. Next, the filming dates and the TARDIS interior scenes. Now, that is something we've all chatted about backstage. We cannot wait to see Phil's interpretation of what the TARDIS interior. There's still something about it, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether it's in the TV show or if it's a fan version. We all can't wait to see somebody's TARDIS interior.
And it's a Dalek film. Will be based on the cushion version with all the wires and everything like that. That'd be interesting. Yeah,
it will be. It will be.
With a big railway lever.
Yeah.
They probably cost money to get in now as well. But no, so thank you for that, Phil. That's absolutely fantastic. Don't forget, you can actually find Phil on his Facebook page all about the film. So that's really great. I'm sure somebody will put the link into the chat for you. You can also get in touch with us at Who's Views on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So there you go. That's all available to you. Come and have a look at that. And what's this from Rose Kirby? Hello, Rose. Hello. Happy Mad Hatter Day. And it's also the 30th anniversary of Shaun of the Dead. But good evening to Chat and Hall's Views. 30? Thanks for that, Rose. You just made me feel really old. That's great. And what else we got there as well? Oh gosh, it's going so quickly again. Look, this is brilliant. Marjorie is saying, I can't wait to see the film, Philip. And Sheila B is saying, oh, good show. Isn't it just? All absolutely brilliant. Listen, guys, as ever, thank you so much for coming to join me on tonight's headlines. Hope you've enjoyed the chat. Philip is saying to us, thanks for the love, chaps. I promise we will give you something that will have the feel of classic Doctor Who. Well, we're in for that one.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you very much.
We are absolutely up for that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it, actually, because God knows we really need something that sort of looks like Doctor Who, don't we? We really, really do.
Yeah.
That's us for tonight. We'll be back on Wednesday if you're watching this live. If you're not watching this live, we'll be back whenever you want us to be. So we'll be back on Wednesday for Carry On Screaming. If you haven't watched it ever, you must, because it's bloody hilarious. So go and watch that. Come back and join us for our review. We will be back with headlines. Whenever they drop a headline, we're going to be here to talk about it. To Third Doctor Ian, to Paul, thank you so much, as I say, for joining me. Really, really pleased to see you.
You're welcome.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel and give us a like as well. That helps so much. Until we see you next time, have a good week. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.